let's discuss the real issue with Snoop, Nelly, Rick Ross, Soulja Boy, and he who shall not be named.
They pay me a bag. Obama ain't never put no money in my pockets. Kamala ain't never put no money in my pockets. Trump put money in my pockets.
Think I'm being me? Who, Larry? Whipping work, bro.
G-Thang, we shoot low death. It's up with crazy. And Death Row is the label that pays me. We unfadable, so please don't try to fake this. But I'm back till the lecture at hand.
So Harry O is the guy that started Death Row Records, right? He was a big time dope boy in LA in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? $2 million a day. Trump did a favor for Harry O and the crew, right? And Harry O is one of the big guys. He one of the big guys at the top in the streets, right? And he got powerful connections to some of these artists because, you know, his money helped start their career. When you look at it through that lens, you have to think logically and say, okay, well, more than likely, Trump had somebody reach out to Harry O to return the favor. I want to see if Harry O could get some of the guys to some of these black artists to come out and hold me down for the inauguration. Right? Harry O probably reached to Snoop, said, man, come on, man, do it for the man. He did me the solid, you know what I'm saying? This the way we going to return the favor for him. And Snoop got so much respect for Harry O that he said, all right, let's do it, right? Ross and Nelly is real tight, you know, and you can find that Harry O and Rick Ross got some type of a friendship too, it seems, you know what I mean? So he probably reached out to them too as far as, hey, yo, do this for me, and then, you know, if you could bring another guy with you, and then it happened to possibly be Nelly.
What I will say is that I respect the office. This isn't politics. The politics for me, it's over. He won.
When black people allow their skin color to be used as a cop-out for people that are actively opposing black people in a lot of different ways, and this isn't just opinion, these are the facts that I'll get to in a minute. So that's the issue. It provides cover for racism. People use this to shut down necessary conversations about President Trump and why he gets called a racist, or why the Republican Party, black people take a pass on them historically. There's a reason for that. Here are some facts to support why people view it that way, and I would encourage those on the right to be willing to engage with these things. So if you don't want to be called racist, you would need to answer why President Trump had and again has a white nationalist advising him, one of his senior advisors, Stephen Miller. Why do you have a white nationalist advising you if you're trying to dispel these racism accusations? Why are one of the leading initiatives that you've talked about is rolling back affirmative action? I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying for people that don't want to get called racist, when you have large groups of white people saying no more affirmative action, what do you think is going to happen? Same thing with DEI. Efforts to make a more inclusive and diverse environment that doesn't solely prioritize white people. Yet we have this large group of white people saying, no, we don't like that. Well, we're not racist, though.
What up, words? Your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashapp to CLBMG gang. I'm going to refer to the person that I'm discussing, the political figure who is going to be the president for the next 4 years, as he who shall not be named, right? I'm going to say that because y'all don't really care anymore. I'm just going to be honest. I'm only doing this video. I know it's not going to be a lot of views. I understand that. Some stuff I do for my own historical data, right? Some stuff I do so 50 years down the line, they can see, and I can look back, and whoever else wants to look back can see that I put on the record my thoughts on certain things. Because y'all really don't care anymore, right? Bringing up he who shall not be named name means nothing. It absolutely doesn't have any type of weight one way or the other, because you guys are going to do what you want to do. You're going to believe what you want to believe, and that's fine. It's nothing wrong with that. I'm done trying to put my opinion in the matter. What I can only do from this point is document things. And with that being said, I'm looking at this very convoluted issue. A lot of people are upset with Snoop and Rick Ross and Soulja Boy and potentially Nelly because he personally has not performed, but he is going to perform on He Who Shall Not Be Named's inaugural ball, one of his balls for his inauguration, right? But before he does that, Snoop Dogg is already getting lit up on social media because he performed at He Who Shall Not Be Named Crypto Ball in Washington, D.C. I'm going to read an article and I want to have a discussion. If you want to stick around, that's cool. If you don't, that's fine. Either way, it's whatever. So let's talk about this. I want to go to Hip Hop DX and I want to read this article about Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross, and Soulja Boy performing at the Crypto Ball celebration in D.C. And if I do say the He Who Shall Not Be Named name in this thing, it's because it's in the article. That's it. That's all. Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross, and Soulja Boy were all on the bill at a party thrown to welcome in the incoming administration of Donald Trump, the first ever Crypto Ball. The Crypto Ball took place on Friday, January 17th at the Andrew W. Mellon Auditorium in the nation's capital. It was hosted by Silicon Valley investor and entrepreneur David Sachs, who Trump appointed the White House AI and crypto czar. Y'all following? He did that last month. All right, and people are pissed that Snoop Dogg went to this ball and he showed his ass, and also Soulja Boy. And I got a lot to discuss. The party from which the media was barred cost $2,500 and $5,000 to attend. Footage from the event, Snoop Dogg can be seen bragging that they let a real Crip in the Crypto Ball. You can see footage of Snoop, Ross, and Soulja Boy at the event below, right? So, let me continue. Snoop's attendance at the pro-Trump event surprised some fans as he had a very different opinion in the lead up to the incoming president's first inauguration. Back in January 2017, Snoop heavily criticized black artists who would perform for Trump, saying he would, quote, roast the F out of anyone who did it. The rapper's public stance on Trump appeared to change after then-President Trump commuted the prison sentence of Death Row Records founder Michael Harry O. Harris on the last day of his first term. Harris learned he was granted clemency at the Lompoc Federal Correctional Institution in California, where he had been serving time for attempted murder and cocaine trafficking. Snoop producer Weldon Angelos, who received his own Trump pardon, revealed the news via Instagram. The communication came hours after the Daily Beast reported Uncle Snoop had been quietly working with activist Alice Johnson and Angelos as part of the last-ditch effort to convince Trump, a.k.a. He Who Shall Not Be Named, to commute Harris's sentence. Despite Snoop and Trump's up until then contentious relationship, the West Coast gangster legend was reportedly appreciative of Trump's efforts. Snoop, Ross, and Soulja Boy aren't the only rappers who will be at the Trump-themed events around the inauguration. Nelly is reportedly set to perform at the inaugural Liberty Ball, one of three official inaugurations. So before I go any further into what the Crypto Ball actually is, I want to discuss that situation with Harry O. Now, another channel, a guy by Music and Builds, he has a theory, and it's plausible. It's plausible that Snoop Dogg only performed because Harry O., who was pardoned by Trump, is now a pro-Trump, I want to say, supporter, ally, whatever you want to call it. And they believe that he asked Snoop to perform at the Crypto Ball, which Snoop accepted and never said anything about why he did it. He's just doing a favor for a favor, which is possibly true. I'm going to say that is a very high possibility, and they think Rick Ross also followed along. So it's not just as dark and deep as they're just dumb for money, but at the same time have some morals, right? And I get it. You're saying they hired, but Charles, they are having morals because they're doing a solid for a known gangster that asked them to do it, and they're not spilling the beans that he asked them, right? And I say kudos to you and the gangster for living up to the gangster code, right? But at the same time, if a gangster asks you to do some stuff that's going completely against your morals that you said a few years ago, you would clown anybody else if they did it. And if this guy calls you and asks you to do it, right? This is 2025. That happened in 2017. You're going to completely do a 180 and shift and completely abandon and alienate your whole fan base. Not your whole fan base. I'm sure some of them don't care. They don't see the negativity attached to you being associated with this, the he who shall not be named. Some of them could care less. They don't think that there's a big problem with it. And I want to get into that later as to why there is an issue with it. But let's just stay focused. So if that is the case, if Harry O did indeed ask Snoop and Rick Ross to perform, now we know why Soulja Boy did it. Soulja Boy just likes money. Soulja Boy is as ignorant and dumb as they get. He's hilarious. Him and Charleston White will make you laugh. I laughed at the video. I watched the entire clip of him going nuts about, yo, I do what I want to do. So Soulja Boy definitely will make you laugh. He is hysterical. His idiocy and his dumbness and his tomfoolery, his just sheer lack of filter and absolute moronic, buffoonish behavior will make us laugh. It is intended to make us laugh, and it will keep him relevant and keep him on the scene. But at the end of the day, that is the type of COONING that has us where we are, where he who shall not be named is back in office after the things that have transpired. And me personally, I'm done talking, like trying to, it doesn't go anywhere anymore. So you're not going to see me bugging out, talking about this, that, and the third, trying to prove anything. But I do have some things to say in regards to when these guys get up there on these stages. These people clearly don't even know their music. Rick Ross' set looked awful, right? The little clip that I saw, it looked like he started rapping to the DJ because the crowd was so checked out of what he's doing. He has no business up there. Right? They don't know you. They're not here for you. You're just some dude up there, some black dude in a tux, mumbling something into a microphone. These people don't know your songs. It's not your crowd. It's a couple people that may know one song or two. But this is the problem when you get up there for money and get in front of a crowd and whatever. Now, you got to understand, this never was about the people in that room. You have to understand, these guys were not paraded on this stage for the people in that room. They're paraded on stage for the headlines that they're going to create. Now, Snoop Dogg is down with MAGA. Now, Rick Ross is down with MAGA. Soulja Boy is down with MAGA. Isn't it cool over here? This is what's happening. They're being used as pawns. They don't understand it because, for one, they're getting paid. And for two, they don't care. The only reason you would get up there is that you don't care. I'm not going to preach because I know most of y'all don't care either. You're making reasons for this to be okay and cool. It's just like fighting with Drake stands, and I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna rack my brain trying to make you understand what's going on. I don't have to make you understand every single racist thing that these people are doing and trying to do and have done and want to do. I don't have to make you understand that all of this stuff is smoke and mirrors. Because most of you don't even care. If you already know, then you already know. If you don't care, you might as well check out the video right now. But what I'm going to do is just remind. It's like when you see something for so long that that's like asking somebody on the block to explain how the police harass us, like to prove it. Like you're going to ask somebody on the block to prove. They don't have to prove it. They see it all the time. They don't have to try to make you, convince you, and argue back and forth. We already know you get harassed out here, whether you've done it or not. But they want to say, well, give me an incident. Give me one incident. They want to nitpick and detail you to death and try to make you crazy, which is what they're doing. They're making us sound crazy now. They're trying to make it like, oh, you're talking about old stuff. That stuff ain't even real. So now you got people of your own ilk who should know better. They're on Twitter trying to tell you to explain to them why he who shall not be named, him and his contemporaries, do not have your best interests at heart. They want you to explain that to them. right? Stuff that we should automatically know, stuff that we've already known for years, stuff that we used to march and get hit with water hoses and dog sick on us. We knew just instinctively who was with us and who was not. Now they've blurred the lines, and they've used rappers and singers and actors. They've used these different people to try to make you think that none of that really was real, and somehow, some way, you're making it up, or you're being pupperized by the Democrats, right? Some kind of way. We're too dumb. We have to be pupperized. We have to be led along, led astray. We have to be manipulated. It can't be that we saw with our own two eyes. It has to be, no, they lied to you for so many years, right? I just watched a video this morning about Poetic Flacco from Poetic Flacco from No Jumper. He put a video up about Snoop, and through the whole video, he's talking about how the Democrats did such a good job misleading us blacks. Like, we didn't see this for ourselves. Somehow we can't make up our own mind. And that's the thing they've been doing for the last 4 years, is telling us you can't make up your own mind. Candace Owens is telling you that. Kanye's telling you that. I'm a free thinker. You can't think for yourself. You're being led by Kamala Harris. Like, listen, gang, we don't, before we ever heard of Kamala Harris, we knew what was going on. This is just an extension of that. He who shall not be named didn't invent this game. This game been here for hundreds of years. He just the leader in front of it. But they don't look at it like that. They're trying to identify this to one person and make it about, try to prove that that one person is the whole system. He's a part of a system, gang. But you guys don't care about that. All you care about is he let some niggas out of jail and he's going to get you some money. That money ain't yours. It ain't for you to have long term, but you don't care about that. This is why I'm not going to be talking about this a lot, because for one, the video's not going to get a lot of views, and I know a lot of people are going to dispute what I'm saying because they don't want to know. They don't care. At this point, if you don't want to know, then it doesn't matter. You might as well cut the video off. Don't even save your comment. Whatever you're going to write down the bottom, save it. Keep it to yourself. Whatever you're going to try to debate me and defend, come at me about this and try to make it like he's not racist. We don't need you here. This video is for the people who want to have a discussion in a logical way, because you can't start a discussion with that. That whole system is set up a certain way. You can't have a discussion with that, right? If you're going to have a discussion, it got to start with, yeah, this is how it is, but, right? If the discussion starts with, yeah, this is how the system is, but he's going to change this, that's not how the discussion starts. The discussion starts, the system is not racist. That's where you're already wrong. So when you start that discussion with that, you might as well exit the chat. I'm just going to be honest. So what we're doing in here is we're going to discuss why it is, right? Why, when you put a rapper up there such as Snoop, and you put a rapper up there such as Rick Ross, and you put a dumbass rapper up there such as Soulja Boy, a freaking idiot, right? You put these fools up there that get up there in their tuxes and perform songs for people who don't know them just to be used as pawns on media outlets. I'm going to have a problem with it. But let me read to you what the crypto ball is, right? Let me read to you what the crypto ball. Now, it's nothing nefarious, or is it? But I'm going to read just so you'll know what it is. Just so you have an idea what the crypto ball is. The crypto ball, to celebrate Trump's return, marks hope for a new era of policymaking. In tuxedos and finery, one of the most famously dressed down industries celebrated Friday night with a crypto ball in Washington to welcome the incoming administration of President-elect Donald Trump. Now, when I first saw that Snoop was on it, I was like, I'm sitting there suffering in my mind, like maybe he got booked and didn't know what it was. Maybe he was told that it was just a crypto ball. That's why he's saying the Crips got in the crypto ball. Maybe he didn't know this was associated to Trump, but it's not. None of that makes no sense, gang. And I had to come to my realization, like, he really did this on purpose. He really did it on purpose, because they got stuff all through the room saying what it is. Like, there's no way he didn't know this. So let me continue. Digital asset insiders trust will lift their sector into the U.S. legitimacy. Big names in crypto such as Michael Saylor, Brian Armstrong, the Winklevoss brothers, and Jesse Powell, and future officials in the incoming administration, most notably Trump's crypto czar pick David Sachs, mixed in the Andrew W. Mellon Auditorium. As they drank cocktails and downed truffle tuna tartar, I love saying that, tuna tartar, I love it. They took in a performance from rapper Snoop Dogg, and maybe more significant for their Washington prospects, a visit from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. The event marks the dramatic upswing in Washington fortunes for the crypto industry, with Mike Make Bitcoin Great Again with Red Make Bitcoin Great Again hats circulated at the event. The attendees count on a close relationship with the new administration and the new session of Congress that could finally cement policy to establish digital assets in a full-fledged part of the regulated U.S. financial sector. What all that means is they're trying to get the lawmakers in the position of power, which is the Republicans, which is he who shall not be named, and his constituents, to ramp up efforts to make sure that crypto and what they're trying to do with crypto can be profitable for them. Just, it is what it is. No, it's just, it isn't short. It is short term. That's what it is. The 4-hour affair, which was advertised at various advertised prices from $2,500 to $5,000, we already said that, was billed by a spokesperson as the exclusive social event, and the outside press was barred from joining the crowd of CEOs and founders. Now, many of these CEOs have no idea who the hell Soulja Boy is. They don't know who Rick Ross is. They may know Snoop because Snoop is a media personality and a well-loved celebrity. He used to be well-loved, but I've seen a lot of these people assassinate their characters this year, gang. I'm just going to be honest. We're seeing Drake completely drive a stake through his own heart, and now we're seeing Snoop and Rick, but Rick Ross don't care. He absolutely don't care. And I want to get to Nelly saying that he's doing this because he's from a military background and he respects the office of the president, which is absolute hogwash. Because let me just be honest. He's saying that he's performing for the troops. Performing for the troops and performing for Donald Trump's inauguration is two different things, gang. It's two different things. He tried to make the correlation that the troops don't have a choice, so he goes and they don't have a choice to not do their job. They do their job whether they like it or not. That's different. They're not elected officials. They didn't get elected on policies and different things like that. They signed up for the army and they stuck there for 4 years or however long. It's two different things, gang. Don't try to make the correlation that they're fighting for our freedom, so you respect them and you respect whoever's in the office. It's two different things. Let's just be honest, Nelly. You sound absolutely insane. And this is why people are mad at you. They're mad at you for a reason, bro. They're mad at you for a reason. Because the simple fact, there are underlying issues with this. See, this is when people don't pay attention to politics and they don't understand why things go a certain way financially for a certain group of people, how a certain group of people have been socially held back, which has been easily proven that we've been socially held back then and now. But for some reason, they want to act like we're getting some kind of leg up with this new president coming through the door. So what I want to do right here, right? I want to read this because what I do, right? For me as a human being, I like to store a lot of knowledge, but I don't want to store all the details because it's a lot of stuff. You're trying to store every single solitary incident. Like I watched this guy before he became the president. I watched him as the president during that whole term, the whole 4 years. I watched everything after that, what he did, and I watched everything that's coming up to this inauguration. There were a lot of incidents, gang. There's a lot of policies. There's a lot of things that were said and things that were not done, things that were egged on, things that were basically completely obvious that he who shall not be named does not have people with my skin tone's best interests at heart. Many times he was counterproductive to what we were trying to do. And really only thing I can pinpoint is he let a lot of people out of jail and he gave dudes some money on their taxes. He gave some dudes some COVID funds that they ended up paying back. And that's really all you could say he really, quote unquote, done for us to believe that he's the savior. But it don't take much when people are slow and when people are kind of like not really paying attention to the details. So you can spit in their face for 15 times, but then you give them some money once and they're your best friend. But that's a neither here nor there. So what I want to do is really just remind you, because there are certain situations to this day right now that we are literally fighting against, but the rappers don't care. Because the rappers got a big bag. You saw Soulja Boy showing his stacks of cash, which he couldn't have got from Trump, but he put some stacks of cash. I'm sure Trump ain't paid this dude in no cash, right? But he got his cash box. He got his cash out talking about Trump gave me my money. Obama ain't never do nothing. Da da da. So I want to read from this like what's actually happening in the real world, because people don't talk about it because they only see what they're told on TikTok and social media and Instagram. So the National Urban League, who fights for issues of people like you and me, they have a post on their page, and I want to read this post, right? Trump is poised to launch an unprecedented attack on racial justice. The National Urban League is ready to fight back. Every nation's history includes unsettling truths that many would prefer to forget or deny. But true patriotism demands confronting the truths of our history, no matter how embarrassing or dishonorable, and undertaking the difficult work of learning from the lessons of our past in order to move forward. For the United States, that work requires reckoning with our shameful legacy of racial subjugation of black people in this country, from slavery and Jim Crow to mass incarceration and police violence. So first things first, Snoop himself, he said he's tired of seeing slavery movies, right? And a lot of y'all, be honest, y'all roll with that. A lot of y'all roll with that. You don't think about the Jewish people. There's a new Nazi movie coming out every single year, 2 and 3 at a time. They have new shows. They never let you forget the Holocaust. But for some reason, we want to stop the slavery movies, right? For some reason, we don't want no more slavery shows. We're past that. How are we past it? We're hundreds of years behind other races in this country financially because of slavery. How are we past it? But y'all want to stop it because you're sick of what? You give me some uplifting stories like what? The Wire? You want to see what? What you want to watch? Let me know. You want to watch Power Book 2? Tariq? Or you want to watch Ghosts, right? You want to watch Kanan? Let me know what you're trying to watch. Let me keep it moving. Without uninhibited discussion and examination of that legacy, we are all ill-equipped as a nation to address its ongoing manifestations in present-day form of discrimination and bias. That's the National Urban League versus Trump. Now, let me continue to read this. If you're still with me, then we're going to just keep it moving. At the current rate of progress, it would take between 100 and 300 years for black Americans to achieve parity with white Americans. Let me read that again. At the current rate of progress, it would take between 100 and 300 years for black Americans to achieve parity with white Americans. That means on all levels, economically and everything else, scholastically, education, it's going to take 100. That's the speedy version is 100 years of us at this rate of just to try to catch them as they keep moving forward from us, right? But somehow that doesn't come into play. But let me continue reading. First annually and now biannually, the National Urban League publishes an equality index, a calculation of the social and economic status of African Americans relative to whites. Rooted in the 3/5 Compromise of 1787, which counted enslaved African Americans as 3/5 of a person, the index would be 100% under full equality. Currently 75.7, the index has moved less than 3% in 20 years, indicating a 180-year wait to achieve parity. That squares with the findings of the McKinsey study showing it will take between 110 and 320 years for black Americans to reach a level of economic prosperity and quality of life that's on par with their white neighbors. President-elect Donald Trump and his allies are determined to make sure that takes even longer. So all that is saying is it's getting even slower. It's getting even slower to try to, this wealth gap, trying to close that wealth gap. It's going to take us even longer, right? So let me continue what's going on, why they're saying that this is a problem with the new president that we got. He shall not be named, all right? At the end of his first term, Trump issued an executive order banning policies that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion for federal agencies, contractors, and grant recipients. The National Urban League immediately filed a lawsuit. Trump lost re-election and President Biden overturned it immediately upon taking office. This time around, Trump isn't waiting to start stamping out racial justice initiatives. He's vowed to rescind President Biden's executive order on advancing racial equity, issued on his first day in office, seizing on the widely accepted myth that increasing diversity is synonymous with anti-white discrimination. The Trump administration plans to use civil rights laws to enforce white privilege in every facet of society, public and private. Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for defense secretary, has promoted the racist fallacy that the long overdue elevation of black officers to senior leadership positions compromises military readiness. So what I'm telling you right now is they're trying to say, first of all, they don't want you to have them positions. So laws were put in place to make sure, we're trying to get things so we can elevate black officers to senior leadership, which we are not in these positions, right? What they're trying to do is stop that, right? So if you watch football, one of the big issues was they wouldn't let us, black people, be quarterbacks. And the other issue is they won't let us, or they won't allow us to be coaches. Now, things were put in place. Policies were put in place to force these owners and these general managers who were using us to bang our heads on the field. And once we were too banged up to play, they discarded you out and got the new guy. It was like, but you're not smart enough to be a QB. You're not smart enough to be a head coach. Now, we've since proven that wrong, but without the policies in place to force them to put us in there, we would have never got the chance if you left it up to these guys. And that's what they're trying to do in the real world. These DII hires that they're talking about and these affirmative actions, these policies were in place because they don't want you there. So if you're getting help to get in positions that they don't want you, you're going to face opposition. Now, for years, the climate of the country was moving toward inclusivity and diversity, right? And now what they've happened to do is turn those words into bad words, because what is happening is you're allowed to be racist to a degree, and you're allowed to be biased. You're allowed to be self-serving now. It's a me mentality, because he who shall not be named came in with the me mentality. If you don't believe me, you don't have to stay here. You can leave the video. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not saying stuff for you to agree with. I'm just telling you what it is. What had happened was when he who shall not be named, when he came into office, his rallies showed you exactly what they wanted from his policies. They were kicking out you. There's footage and videos of black people being thrown out, and to this day they still do that. When you try to come in that bitch a certain kind of way, if you're not super goofy like them, you just come in, they trying to throw you out. Now they've eased up because that has been very bad press, and they've had a concerted effort for the last 4 or 5 years to try to appear that they're inclusive. Now, go down in that crowd if you want, okay? Go down in that crowd if you want. You're going to find out it ain't that inclusive. And when you see it now, a lot of these people that pander to that, they're not getting those positions that they thought they were going to get. Let's just be honest. A lot of these people who pandered and were like, yeah, I'm a MAGA, da-da-da. When this guy got elected, you don't see us getting these positions. Right? But it is what it is. It's whatever. So let me continue because I still haven't gotten to the meat of the bones, right? In fact, Trump's proposed cabinet includes only one black member, a former NFL player whose only qualification to head the Department of Housing and Urban Development is his history of opposing affordable housing, protection for poor tenants, and aid for the homeless. See, what these guys don't understand, when they go and grab these bags, these people are the pull up your bootstrap people. They don't want to give you nothing. Every society is going to have its poor, no matter what you say. And however the society treats its poor, it shows you how the society itself is built. These guys don't want to protect homeless. They don't want affordable housing. They don't want to aid homelessness. Those are things that are going to always exist. Your society, your job as a person of society is to help those people. It is what it is. Everybody's not able to work. Everybody's not able to get a great job. A lot of people want to pretend that there's a lot of work. You can just do work if you want. It's not that simple. A lot of these jobs are sucky, and a lot of these jobs, people are getting laid off every single day. I know people with good jobs getting laid off. They laying off people in Meta, gang. Yes. So what I'm trying to say to you is, it ain't that simple not to be homeless. It ain't that simple to get a great house. It ain't that simple to not be poor. It all happens. Trump will eliminate federal funding for any school that promotes racial equality or confronts the reality of racism in the nation's history. They don't want you to acknowledge that there is racism. So if you don't acknowledge there's racism, how can you actually fight it? If they're making these schools won't teach you. And most schools don't teach you about racism, but they're gonna go over slavery. They don't even want these kids to know that. If you are a school that literally promotes racial equality, why would you want them to not promote racial equality? See, they have to demonize these things to make it so that you can't fight these things. When the things don't exist, there's nothing to fight. The greatest thing the devil ever did was made people think he don't exist, gang. And so what I'm saying is, if you don't have an enemy to fight, then you will stop fighting. If they can make the illusion that we're all equal and you're just dumb, Guess what they do to dumb people, gang? They put them in jails. They beat them up, put them in jails and kill them. They can demonize you and say that you're violent. Go online on any Twitter right now. They got so many posts right now talking to black people are more violent. They're the most violent race. Da da da. You got to understand what you're dealing with. But these guys won't tell you this, right? Snoop is a bumbling idiot right now because he's turned his back on everything. He didn't even know why he was. If he understood why he was against this guy, he would have never performed for nobody, no matter what you say. I'm sorry, Harry, but I can't do it, gang. I know you got, he let you out. You got to find another way me to pay you back. I'm not getting on that stage for no reason. But no, he got up there and he made it a spectacle and he's acting like it's not a big deal. I don't know if he did it for Harry or not, but that's the most plausible situation of this event. That's the most plausible situation. Or maybe it's just he got paid and don't give a fuck. I don't know. But at the end of the day, when you got people trying to take away the sheer construct of racism and wipe it away from the schools and take away your funding if you talk about it, that right there should be a red flag. Why? Why can't we talk about it? Make it make sense. Why you got a fool like Nelly talking about, I'm from a military family, so we respect the military. You're not performing for the military. You're going to an inauguration ball for a guy who clearly whole fan base doesn't want nothing to do with you. But you don't understand that. Trump will eliminate federal funding for any school that promotes racial equality or confronts the reality of racism in the nation's history. He has even vowed to direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against them. He's going to use civil rights cases against the people trying to teach about civil rights, gang. You got to understand, it's twisted, gang. They getting really good. They getting really good. But the problem is a lot of people won't put no thought into this. You got the meme warriors on Twitter who only live by memes, and they don't understand why you're thinking that Donald Trump and his administration will do things against their best interest. Let's just say that, right? And people want to say they want racism to be overt. The demonic. You got this giant overshadowing thing where I'm racist. No, racism is subtle, gang. It's not a big giant cloud that you could just see and point. That's racist. Just as right. It don't work like that. It's subtle. It comes in waves. It does not actually. You can't touch it. It's not tangible. It's just something that is. And they use little things to ensure that you're not in the mix. The little things add into big things. And before you know it, your job is getting paid less than this guy's job. You're going to jail faster than that guy for the exact same crime. You're getting longer sentences than that guy for the same crime. You're working in that prison for a couple cents for something that's really worth $15, $16, $20 outside in the real world because you're being used as a slave and a pawn because they've demonized you and made you not even understand what's going on with you. You don't understand that neighborhood was put in that place and deprived and strangled for any resources when they'll give them the same resources that they've been giving them for years. When they'll devalue your house, it's just as good as the other guy's house. The other guy can use house to build his credit. Your house is devalued, so you can't get no credit. You're getting higher loan rates. You're getting trash cars that cost you more, and the interest rates are higher. Just because your skin tone, it's been proven. And they want to increase it. They want to raise taxes on you and give them and let the rich guys have less taxes, but they don't care. You got to understand, the people that you're dealing with, these rappers don't care because they're selfish, they're greedy, they're only out for themselves. Like when Boozie's like, I can't wait to Trump. Boozie's dumb. You got to understand, these guys are dumb, gang. They just want money so they can get houses and get things and show it on Instagram. They don't care about nobody. Every rapper that gets up there, I guarantee you, doesn't care about anybody. Because if he gave a shit about somebody, he would never do the show. Because by essence of doing the show, you're promoting their policies. When you stand up there, you're promoting the system that is hell-bent on destroying you and the poverty that you escaped. The poverty that you escaped with this rapping, they're trying to keep everybody else in it. But you don't understand that because you got a bag for yourself. He plans to resurrect the failed 1976 commission, which historians revealed as a plot to elevate ignorance about the past to a civic virtue. Hoping to avoid attacks from the incoming administration and its most fanatical defenders, many private corporations are retreating from their commitment to DEI. The board of Costco, in contrast, recently rejected an anti-DEI shareholder proposal. While post-election surveys showed that Trump's election was largely a misguided reaction to the cost of groceries, Trump and his allies have taken it as an endorsement of their vicious and bigoted policies. Americans overwhelmingly support corporate diversity policies. President Biden's administration, like most diverse institutions, was more innovative, adaptable, resilient, and able to solve problems more quickly because of its diversity. So what you don't understand, right? When people say diversity, what people don't understand is that's a lot of things. That's women, that's men of color, that's people of color, that's people of different sexual orientations, things of that nature, right? The most prolific countries in this world are the countries that let their women work freely, and other cultures put in ideas and put in groundwork, and you can't have a country. Most of the countries, let's just be honest, most of the countries that don't excel are the countries that keep their women out of the workplace and keep their women behind in all kind of social constructs. They won't educate them. They won't let them freely walk around. They restrict them to a lot of ways. Those countries usually are far behind the countries that have surpassed, moved forward. These first world countries that have that archaic sense of, yeah, only the man can be the person, or like only the white man can be the person in power. Most of those countries fall to the wayside, and the countries that really rule this earth are countries that have moved forward with their thinking. So a lot of these policies with this DEI is going to set back a lot of those moves that we've made to push forward, because this country is not just one type of person, but a lot of these policies, as you see, they only have one black person even in the administration, right? So the simple fact of the matter is, once you start pulling back and not being as diverse, the policies don't meet the needs of the whole country. It starts to meet the needs of a small margin of people who happen to be a certain color. Those are the people who the policies start to favor. When you don't have policies in your favor, your race or your gender or whatever you're talking about starts to go backwards as the people who are in power move forward and put themselves in more positions of power to do stuff that will make it seem like you're not as smart, even though the fact that we even have this country is based on many different races going to fight, especially our race, who was told we were going to get the 40 acres and a mule, and we came home and got their ass to kiss, and a lot of them got the 40 acres and a mule, and some of them that didn't even go to fight got the 40 acres and a mule, and now they can sit up and say, you guys are lazy because you don't want to work. Meanwhile, they took it, and every time we've built cities and built towns and built financial structures, they've came without fail and destroyed it. More than once. Every time we get successful, because if we give our money to ourselves too many times, it starts to devalue what they got going on. If we keep our money in our community and they let it happen too long, it starts to be, they're not getting their eggs and bread sold. Their goods and products and services aren't being bought as much because we're spreading amongst ourselves. So they got to kill that. They got to destroy that. Do your research or history. Now, these laws are making it so you're not going to build your own stuff because we have the power structure, and we're going to keep you out of the power structure because we're going to call you DEI hires, and we're going to make it like you're not good enough. But at the end of the day, without these policies, you wasn't getting in there anyway. Not on based on your laws or nothing. We're going to put a C student in there over your A student. It's been proven. I'm not making this up. This has been proven. That's why the laws, that's why the affirmative action and the DEI and all this diversity stuff was proven in courts of law that it was necessary. So now they're going to try to reverse that so that, yeah, we acknowledge that we don't want to put you in these positions of power, whether you deserve it or not. We're going to keep you out. And if you try to force yourself in here, we're going to make it like you don't belong here because you are just a hire that was forced in. And that's why Candace Owens is an idiot. Okay? She supports these laws too, but she only supports it because she gets paid to. End of the day, it's a very convoluted system that is designed to make you look like a failure so they don't have to give you nothing. But even though you ain't giving you shit because you earned it, because without us, there's no America. Without us, there's no land of the free. We've been fighting for a country that don't want us for years. And we've been fighting for a country that wants to use us for the benefits, but not give us none. And then they want to make it like, oh, you're the most violent race. Meanwhile, if we were to reverse this shit and put them in this same position, they would be 10 times more violent than we are. They've already proven that they've done it. They've already took this country by force. They took a lot of other countries by force. There have been a lot of violent incidents against the people, the citizens. We're born here and we're getting lynched from trees like we weren't for stuff, the smallest of infractions, right? But that's a whole nother story. But what I want to say is this. When you sit up there as an artist, especially from hip-hop was born from oppression. Oppression is a construct that was completely put upon you from the day you were put on this land. You've been oppressed. Oppression, music of hip-hop is from that. We sing songs of oppression. We sing songs of fighting against oppression. And for you to get up there and celebrate in a tux with your oppressors who got big plans to make sure less of you can get up on that stage and less of you, unless you're dancing for them for $2,500 tickets or what have you, unless you're singing and rapping, you're not getting up there. You're not going to be in the position of power unless you can some kind of way be some kind of dancing monkey up there, right? No pun intended. But at the end of the day, if you aren't able to somehow outsmart, then you're going to be left out in the cold. Yeah, it's going to be exceptions to every rule. There's going to be a black person squeezed in here and there. But for the most part, these policies that are that's going to be put in place, they're going to strip these young kids coming up of their knowledge of, we're going to try, we got the internet, they can't stop it. But they're going to try to defund the schools that are trying to do the right thing by teaching about diversity and about racial equality. They don't want them to know that. They don't want you to teach that because somehow that's how supremacy works. You can't be supreme if you're telling other people that they're equal as you. It doesn't work like that, right? Trump has a white nationalist on his committee, his administration. He has a white nationalist on his administration. But somehow you got these goofballs up there singing and dancing and rapping for this guy and these dumbass people on Twitter that don't understand what's going on. You can't tell them nothing because they don't care. Kanye put on a red hat and now it's okay. So I'm going to leave it at this. Snoop is losing a lot of credibility and goodwill that he's built up. Not with just this, is a whole bunch of things that he got going on lately. Nelly doesn't understand what he's talking about. He doesn't make any sense, and he doesn't know it. Soulja Boy is just dumb, and he always has been, and he always will be. So it doesn't really matter what dummies do, but what happens is these kids follow dummies, and then they become dumb. So unless we can get into these small gatherings, right? Like I said, there ain't gonna be a lot of views for this video, and a lot of people definitely ain't gonna make it 45 minutes in. But if we can get in these small gatherings and have these conversations, like I don't do a lot more. You don't see me arguing on Twitter and stuff like this about Trump no more. Like he would do what you want to do because right now it's really these guys are voting and they're running out. They got these contrived narratives that they're being fed to from the top on down, and they send it to the right black guy in power, and he's gonna spread the message and make it like, oh man, they're gonna question stuff that shouldn't even be questioned. They're gonna make it into questions, and I just don't got the time. But what I'm gonna do is here and there, I'm gonna poke my head out. Sometime I'm gonna pop out and show niggas, right? I'm just gonna, as sooner or later, I'm gonna poke my head out, tell you some shit, and I'm gonna move back. But the sad thing about it is I don't know if people even care no more. People not listening no more. We got people defending Drake with a lawsuit that he lost a rap battle. So I'm in a bizarre world, right? I'm really in a bizarre world, and it's not okay. And I don't know what to tell you, but at the end of the day, I'm going to leave these little nuggets, these digital nuggets for the kids, my kids and the people in the future, my grandkids and this and that want to hear what the hell was going on and what did Pop do. And this is what I did. I'm going to catch y'all on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.
CLB.